ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। Hare Krishna, welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita study group. Thank you all for joining. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Wonderful. Last week we completed chapter 16. And in the 16th chapter, we saw two extremes. Right? We saw people with divine qualities who have complete faith in the scriptures. Right? They follow the scriptures ekdam faithfully. And on the other end, we saw demoniac qualities. No faith in scriptures. They do everything whimsically. Correct? So, 16th chapter essentially talks about the two ends. So, the 17th chapter that we're going to start today becomes very relevant for us, very interesting for us, because people like you and me, we are neither completely divine nor are we completely demoniac. We are in the middle, right? People like us, we have faith, but not necessarily complete faith. Complete faith in Guru, complete faith in Sadhu, complete faith in scriptures, right? We lack somewhere. We worship, but we worship according to our own faith, right? So, this chapter is going to tell us what happens to people like us, right? Now remember, Krishna has already said that those people who have complete faith in the scriptures, they go towards liberation. No doubt whatsoever. Right? So they are sorted. Those who completely disregard the scriptures, they are thrown into hell. Unka bhi pakka ho gaya. But what happens to us who have faith, but our faith is not absolute. It's not absolutely on scriptures. We have our own faith. Right? So what happens to people like us? Okay? So, atha saptadashodhyayah. So, we'll start with the first verse. Please repeat after me. Arjuna uvacha ye shastra vidhimutsrujya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtha tu ka Krishna sattvam aho rajastamah.
Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principles of scripture but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance?
Okay, so for those who just joined, Krishna has concluded the 16th chapter, right? And he has said that that person who does not follow the principles laid down in Shastra is an asur, right? He's a demon. And one who follows Shastra faithfully is a devata. Now Arjuna is asking, what about a person who has full faith? Okay, he follows rules, but those rules are not mentioned in the Shastra, right? What is his position? What happens if I accept a human being as God and I place my faith in him, right? In that case, am I worshipping in goodness? Am I worshipping in passion? Am I worshipping in ignorance? Will I attain the perfectional stage of life, right? Will I be able to get liberation? Is it possible for me to get real knowledge and elevate myself in spite of choosing a God that is not allocated by scriptures, right? So Arjun is asking these questions and he wants to know Krishna's opinion about such people. Do these people belong to goodness, to passion, or to ignorance, right? In this answer, Krishna starts explaining about how faith is also divided. Krishna says even your faith is divided into 3 categories: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Okay, so let's recite Krishna's response. Please repeat. This is verse number 2 of the 17th chapter. Please make an effort to recite the verses because these are very self-explanatory, beautiful verses. Okay. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Trividha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Svabhavajam Sattvici Rajasi Chaiva Tamasi Chetitam Shruno.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now hear about.
Very interesting this is. Okay, Krishna is saying that everybody has faith. We say na ki ye banda to faithless hai. Krishna says no. Everybody has faith. Every human being who is born with faith. There is nobody who is faithless. So, they may have no faith in the scriptures, but they have their faith placed somewhere else. Right? I could have faith on my logical ability, on my intelligence. Right? मुझे दिखता नहीं है तो मैं believe नहीं करता. So, I don't believe in what I cannot see. But that means I have complete faith on my eyes. Right? Or I have faith on my academic qualifications. Or I have faith in, some other rich person or some other sadhu santa. I don't believe in God because I can't see him. Does not mean I'm faithless. It means that I have no faith in God, but I have faith in my senses. Right? So please remember, when people say I don't believe in Juna Purana scriptures, right? I accept modern science. So they don't have faith in scriptures, they have faith in modern science. So everybody has faith, except that faith can be in goodness, rajasic, or tamasic. Okay, so let's hear about different people ka different faith. Verse number 3. Sattvanurupa sarvasya Shraddha bhavati bharata Shraddhamayo yam purusho Yo yachhadras sa eva saha.
O son of Bharata, according to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired.
Okay, so very interesting. Our faith is according to our guna, according to the mode that we are working under. I don't know if you remember when we were studying modes, right? I told you a verse from the Bhagavad which said there are 10 things that affect us in which mode we work. Okay, there are 10 things which decide ki am I going to be in Satogun or Rajogun or Tamogun, right? Very important. First one is what I read. what literature I read or listen to. Okay, that decides. So if I'm reading good, pure literatures, I'm trying to find my purpose in life, then I'm reading literature which is in the mode of goodness, so it keeps me in Satogun. Right? If I'm reading India Today, Business World, right, it keeps me in the mode of passion. And if I'm reading Mills and Bones, right, or I'm reading Stardust, or I'm reading Femina, it puts me in the mode of ignorance. Right? Similarly, what I eat, right, that decides which mode I am in. Am I eating a lot of meat? Puts me in the mode of ignorance. Am I eating? Then today we'll actually study that, right? The different kinds of food, how they affect my consciousness. Then the association of people that we keep. Very, very important. We are an average of the 5 people that we hang out with. So be very, very careful whose company you keep. Right? Then the place that we live in. What kind of atmosphere, what kind of environment we have around where we live. Then the time of the day when we are most active. Right? Are we ullus who function best at night, or are we early morning creatures? Affects our mentality. Then the kind of activities that we do, whether it is our career or our passion or our profession, right? Whatever it is, what kind of activities are we constantly engaged in? Right? Then of course our birth. What kind of family we are born in? Right? What are the things that we contemplate on? What is the mantra that we chant? Right? We done, am I doing Krishna, 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 or am I doing money, 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 or am I doing success, success, success? Right? The mantra that we're constantly feeding our mind is very important. Then what kind of sanskar has been done on us? Very important. Right? When we were conceived, was the sanskar done? When we were born, was namkaran done? Was our first meal done properly? Were we initiated into study? There are so many sanskars. Right? Marriage ka achhi tarah se hua ki nahi hua. So all these are things that are done to purify us. Okay? So all these decide which mode we are going to act in. So we already saw that we will put our faith somewhere or the other. In this verse we understand that depending on which mode is prominent in me, my faith will be accordingly. Right? Without doubt. Right? Where we decide to place our faith, that shapes the direction of our life. Correct, Aikini? What we choose to believe in actually shapes the direction of our life. For those people who decide that money is of paramount importance, they spend their entire life accumulating more and more and more money. People who decide that nothing is more important than fame, they spend their entire time and their energy in chasing political posts or social designations. Correct? And then there are people who believe that noble values se badh ke aur kuch nahi hai. Right? Like Gandhi ji, Satya, Ahimsa. He so firmly believed in his values that he was able to sacrifice everything. And just on the strength of his convictions, he was able to, launch that non-violent movement and get rid of the most powerful empire from India. Right? Similarly, those who have a deep faith in the importance of God realization, they will be able to compromise on their material life and go in search of Him. Right? So Krishna is saying that the quality of our faith decides the direction of our life. Okay? So, in response to Arjun's question, Krishna now talks about the kinds of faith that exist. 17.4 Yajante satvika devan yaksharaksham rajasaha pretan bhutaganams chanye yajante tamasa janaha.
Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits.
Very important verse. We all wonder if our faith is in goodness or passion or ignorance? Krishna answers that here. So he says, if you're worshipping Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Ganpati, Devi Mata, Surya, Chandra, Varun, Mahavir, Buddha, any devata, if you are worshipping your Ishtadev, then without doubt, your worship is in the mode of goodness. Okay? If I am worshipping a devata with a particular purpose in mind, please underline that, with a particular purpose in mind, if I am worshipping a devata, then I am worshipping in the mode of goodness. Right? Those who are in the mode of passion, they worship the demons. Okay? Please remember again, who are demons? In the last chapter itself we did. Dambho, Darpo, Bhimanascha, Krodha, Parushamevacha. One who is egoistic, one who is lustful, one who is arrogant, right? One who is very proud. If we worship these kind of people, right, then our worship is in the mode of passion. In the purport, we'll see Prabhupada writes about this person in Calcutta who during the Second World War was worshipping Hitler. Because of the situation, he was able to make a lot of money in the black market. And it all happened because Hitler was at the helm of the World War II. And so he worshipped Hitler. Right? But in our life, right, we see so many people. There's Rajnikant worship. There's Amitabh Bachchan worship. There's Tendulkar worship. There's Dhoni worship. There's Salman Khan worship. Prabhas worship. Shushmita Sen worship. Bal Thackeray worship. Hai ki nahi? Gods are created and gods are worshipped. This worship is in the mode of passion. Right? I'm sure we've all experienced this. Right? I mean, if you, in your own situation, if you give somebody thoda sa bada charity, what will they tell you? आप तो हमारे भगवान हो. आप नहीं होते तो हमारा क्या होता? Right? They make Bhagwan out of you. Rajasic. Okay? Don't ever fall in that trap. You're not Bhagwan. Always keep in mind, you're simply Nimitta Bhatra. Let's read verse number 5 and 6 together. Ashāstra-vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambha ahankara sanyukta kamaraga balanvitaha karshayanta sharirastham bhutagramam achetasah mam chaivanta sharirastham tan vidhyasuranischayan.
Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures, performing them out of pride and egoism, who are impelled by lust and attachment, who are foolish and who torture the material elements of the body as well as the super soul dwelling within, are to be known as demons.
Very important verse. Ashāstra vihitam ghoram. अशास्त्र, जो शास्त्र में लिखा नहीं है और जो घोर है, हार्मफुल है, तप्यन्ते ये तपोजनाः. These kind of austerities, okay, when they are performed, why are these people doing these austerities? Right? होते हैं ना, I mean, Ravan performed austerity because he was trying to build a staircase to heaven. Hiranyakashipu did a lot of austerities because he didn't want anybody to kill him. He wanted to become immortal. Right? Bhasmasur, he did austerity कि मैं किसी को भी हाथ लगाऊं वो भस्म हो जाए. Right? He should turn into ashes. What motivates these people to do these austerities? Krishna says, Dambha Ahankar. It is their pride and their ego. And what motivates them? Kama Raga Balanvitaha. They are compelled to do all of this because they have so many kamanai, so many attachments, so many desires. But when they do these austerities, what is happening to their bodies? They are torturing their body, right? Our material body. मैं खाऊंगी नहीं, मैं पीऊंगी नहीं, मैं खड़ी रहूंगी, मैं हाथ ऊपर करूंगी. You're torturing the body to such an extent कि you're so foolish, you don't realize कि the Paramatma is sitting inside. and we land up tormenting that Paramatma too. So Krishna says this is foolish. This is ridiculous. These are austerities that I have never asked you to do. So people who do this are demons. So please understand, anybody who is doing ridiculously difficult austerities, Krishna is saying no. These are not austerities or penances recommended in the scriptures. Right? What is recommended in the scripture? कि भाई तुम, whatever devata you're trying to please, उस देवता का एक दिन होता है, right? उस दिन तुम एक simple सा व्रत कर लो. जैसे we fast on Ekadashi. Now, why should we fast on Ekadashi? Is it because Krishna is very egoistic? Is it because he is going to get something if I fast? Right? Is he very proud to show people that, oh look, I can make others suffer? No. We are fasting so that I'm not involving all my time in feeding my body. I'm trying to spend one day in 15 days trying to focus on the spirit inside and not the body. Right? Whenever I do an austerity, I have to first understand कि भाई मैं ये कर क्यों रही हूँ. I'm doing this because I want to connect with my soul. I want थोड़ा extra time. मेरे रोज के दिनचर्या में so much time goes in eating and cooking and deciding on what is to be made कि I want one day off. And I want one day to say नहीं यार अब ये body नहीं, आज के दिन soul से connection. So what have I done? Every 15 days I've picked Ekadashi and I do my Ekadashi ka vrat. Right? I'm getting my soul to understand that my soul is in charge. I'm done giving in to the demands of my body. Right? So what is tapasya? What is penance? What is austerity? It means very consciously I'm making an effort to deny material comforts to my body and my mind. I don't want to give in to all the rubbish that my mind keeps making me do. Right? So I want to do tapasya. And so this tapasya has to be thought through. Fundamentally, what is my problem? I'm constantly thinking I am this body. Right? Misidentification is my primary problem. Dehatma buddhi. Correct? As a conditioned soul, I'm so convinced that I am this body that from the minute I wake up till I go to bed, I'm taking care of my body. As soon as I wake up, right, I brush my teeth, have a bath, otherwise the body is going to stink. Right? Just look at our own lives. फिर immediately नाश्ते का टाइम है ना, चाय कॉफी whatever it is that we take, उसका टाइम, फिर बच्चों को तैयार करो, खाना बनाओ, न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ो, एक्सरसाइज करो. Everything that we do, we are so body focused. Right? All of these things we're constantly doing to keep our body and our mind comfortable. And we call it daily routines. But our daily routine is centered around the body and the mind. And when we are completely focused over there, we have no time to focus on the soul. So we pull out one particular time and we say, you know what, in this time, I'm going to allocate this time, this energy, this money, whatever it is, to remember the Lord, to connect with my soul. Right? So if I say, ki, okay, half an hour I will sit down and chant Bhagwan Ji ka naam. I will worship the Lord. I will cook for the Lord. Whatever it is, then that is called tapasya, austerity. Right? It's actually a very interesting concept that I heard from Janva Mataji. Right now, we call chanting austerity. Okay, tapasya. We call Ekadashi tapasya. Why? Because we are not enjoying it. We are doing it forcefully because we know it is the right thing to do. So we are calling it tapasya. Okay? Over a period of time, we'll start kind of thinking, yeah, this is nice. Hai na? Then from tapasya, it will become seva. Like right now, if I have to go to a satsang and take, food for 25 people, suppose I have to make chapatis. Oh my God, it is such a tapasya. Right? Yaar, kaun itni 50 rotiyan banate baithega? Right? But over a period of time, I start thinking, this is nice. Right? So it becomes seva, service. And that same activity, as time passes, I might think, I am so blessed. I get a chance to do this. I get a chance to serve Vaishnavas. Right? So I start falling in love with being able to do something for somebody else. That becomes bhakti. So what starts off as an austerity becomes seva and becomes bhakti. And when we reach that stage of bhakti, then it does not feel like austerity at all. You understand the difference? Very important. So austerity has to progress. Austerity cannot be a pain. Right? From chanting, यार मुझे उठना है, वर्षा ने बोला एक राउंड तो करना ही है, करना है. Austerity to, okay, this is nice, I like to start my day with this, to waking up saying, you know what, I love to chant, so let me chant before the family wakes up. It's the same activity. It goes from austerity to seva bhav to bhakti. Okay, like Prabhupada says, it's like a mother. Right? When she takes care of her child, she does not think it is austerity. Why? Because there is love involved. So she enjoys doing it. When love is involved, it does not feel like austerity. Okay? The conditioning of our body is so strong that we are constantly focusing on our body. So initially when we start focusing on our soul, it feels like austerity. Right? Like honestly, so many people say कि यार ये ISKCON वाले लोग ना कितनी austerity करते हैं. No intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex. Now think about this. As a human being, should we be intoxicated? Why is intoxication bad? Because you've lost control over your decision-making ability. Right? What is wrong in me drinking is that once I am drunk, I do things that I would normally not have done. So how is no intoxication and austerity? It's not, no? It's normal if you want to be a decent human being. Similarly, no meat eating. Why would you want to kill animals and consume something that is dead? Right? जो मरा हुआ है, वो it is dead is what we are saying. Why do we want to put something like that in our chitta sharir? So fundamental to being a good, clean human being. No gambling. How is that an austerity? When you gamble, it's an austerity because you're constantly tensed, you're constantly anxious. Right? So how is no intoxication, no gambling a problem? And no illicit sex? Come on. Right? We're all living in the institution that believes in marriage. So how can no illicit sex be an austerity? No. These are not austerities. These are simply picking us up from animalistic existence and making us human. Isn't that right? Devotee banna to bahut dur ki baat hai. These four are so essential for us to just be human beings. Right? In Kali Yuga, we are struggling to be humans. We are calling this austerity. It is not austerity. Right? Unfortunately, the environment that we are in, right, the society that we interact with, the social standards that we have set up are so degraded that these fundamental things seem like austerity. We are so body-centric. All we want is more and more and more comfort for our body. And that is why, look at what we've done to ourselves. Right? Sorry, Rajeshri, you have a question, dear?
Yes, Varsha. So, what you have said about austerity, seva, and pyar, whatever it is, so you mean to say austerity is a kind of a torture on oneself? Like you are ignorant, but you are trying to get into something.
It's not torture, it's voluntary inconvenience. Voluntarily. So I have food in my house. Okay? But I decide कि यार आज एकादशी है, आज मैं खाऊंगी नहीं. Right? I have food, but voluntarily I am depriving sense gratification. Because I have a higher purpose. On that day, my higher purpose is I want to connect. I want to understand what my soul is thinking, what my soul wants, what is God trying to tell me? How can I elevate myself? Right? So I'm thinking of a higher purpose. Please remember, stop thinking that you're doing this for Krishna. You're not doing this for Krishna. You're doing it for yourself. Right? Because you really want to listen to the voice of your soul. You want to understand what is better for you. Correct? So voluntarily, when I say no to my senses, that is tapasya. Make sense? Yeah. Sonal?
Realism we have, like, हमारे में बहुत ज़्यादा उपवास करती है, and somehow it's also written in the scriptures, and now this has a completely different perspective. Now you don't torture your body. I don't necessarily know that people who do tapasya, people go on fasting for about a month or two, even without having any kind of food. Some of them might be doing it for pride, I don't know, but some of them could be doing it because it's written and the Guru is saying so. Now, both of them are doing the same thing, but there's difference in consciousness. What is it that they're actually doing here?
Absolutely beautiful question. If they're doing it with complete faith in Guru and Shastra, right, then it is Vishuddha Sattva. Then they're so committed कि नहीं मुझे तो है ना बस भगवान पाना है. I have found my path and I now don't believe in the existence of my body. Right? So I don't want to pamper this body at all. Right? Now I'm at soul level. Then they've made it. Moksha. Right? Never doubt them. Their faith, their understanding, brilliant. Right? But without that, if I'm doing it to show to somebody, like I'm telling you, I went to Kumbh Mela, a guy is sleeping in barbed wire. Why? Right? And you're there on display to show people that you're sleeping on barbed wire. Why? One guy has 100 kilos of Rudraksha on his head. That is his tapasya. Why? God has not told you to put 100 kilos of Rudraksha on your head. Right? One guy has not eaten for 25 years but is mast smoking ganja. Why? Right? Then there is that man who has his hand up. Correct? Or people who grow their nails. What is this? This is the kind of tapasya that God is saying no. But so Sonal, there's a very beautiful verse in Shastra. It says, fundamentally we need to understand why we do tapasya. The purpose of tapasya is smartavya satatam vishnur vismartavya na jatu chit. There are two purposes of tapasya. I will constantly remember Vishnu. I will never forget Vishnu. You understand? Any austerity that you do, Shastra tells us, should have this as your guideline. When I'm doing a lot of austerity, not looking after my body, giving up my clothes, giving up my hair, eating out of just my palm, or fasting for 40 days, am I constantly remembering my God? Am I never forgetting my God? If it ticks these two boxes, then that is correct tapasya. When I'm doing Ekadashi, right? Am I constantly remembering God? Am I never forgetting God? Then tick. Fantastic tapasya. But if I'm doing Ekadashi to say, I have to do Ekadashi, Sonal, yaar, you don't do. You are such a bad person. Isse acha to main khana kha lu. You understand? So, tapasya, the act itself does not purify us. The consciousness behind the act is what purifies us. So what you asked, right? What is the thought behind doing our tapasya? It is that thought which purifies our soul. So there are so many people. I have a very dear friend, absolutely beautiful person. Every time she tries to do Ekadashi, she gets a lot of acidity and she becomes weak and she lands up in the hospital. She needs saline. Mat kar. Mat kar. Right? You're so conscious of God all the time, you don't need to do it. Because what are the rules of doing tapasya? Constantly remembering Vishnu, never forgetting Vishnu. So any austerity that we take on, please remember that it should tick these two boxes. The aim of the austerity should be, I want to connect my soul to the super soul. Austerity is so that I can take my inward journey. Right? Why do we walk in the Dindi? Why do we climb Kedarnath? Why do we go on Amarnath Yatra? Why do we go to Vaishnav Devi? The real purpose, I could sit in a helicopter and go, na? Bhagwan se to milne ja rahi hu, helicopter mein baith ke jaऊं. But if I can, why do we walk? Because that entire journey, naam japte chalo, Hari ko yaad karte chalo. So you're giving that whole time to focus on God. So all acts of austerities should be accompanied by chanting and hearing Nama Rupa Guna Leela. Right? There's no point in being miserable and chanting and doing an upvas. Yaar, aaj upvas kar rahi hu, aaj kahin man hi nahi. I'm telling you, a few years ago, I decided I will do Navratra. Okay, 9 days. And I'm hopeless at fasting. Hopeless. Full time. So in my other house, my kitchen and my dining table, right? The dining table faced the kitchen. I found that most of the time I was sitting on the dining table thinking, Acha Venki, kya bana ke de sakte ho? Upas mein kya chalega? I said, oh my God, I'm never going to fast again. Right? Because I was only food conscious. I was not God conscious in that Navratri. So what is the point of doing that Navratri?
So what I was asking was, now you fast and you said you make your body miserable. The other thought people have about it is कि भगवान हमारी परीक्षा ले रहे हैं and that it should pass the test. I mean, with the same level of suffering, one would say I don't want to torture my body. Another person would say, you know what, God is testing me and I want to pass this test. So मतलब वो उसके हिसाब से अगर it is thinking in the right direction, that same activity is justified, and if it is thinking in the wrong direction, that same activity is not justified.
Absolutely. See, person is thinking कि भगवान मेरी परीक्षा ले रहे हैं, तो भगवान conscious है वो, तो वो कर रही है अपनी austerity, right? She is conscious of God and she is doing her activity. Perfect. If it is written in Shastra, please do it. But if it is not written in Shastra, if you're doing it for some kind of fame, some kind of adoration, then don't do it. It is the same activity. Do it with faith. Don't do it for some pat on the back. This Janu Mataji was telling us about this guy who donated a pankha to a Hanuman temple, right? And he told the pujari कि पंखे के हर ब्लेड पे मेरा नाम लिखो. ओके, तो नाम लिखा, फिर पंखा चलाया तो नाम दिखा नहीं, तो he said पंखा बंद करो, राइट? अब उसको अपना नाम दिखाना था. सो जानवा माताजी told us, imagine इसने पंखा किसको डोनेशन दिया? वायु भगवान को, right? Hanuman ji is Vayu Putra. He goes to Hanuman ji, he donates a fan, he puts his name there, and चलाया तो नाम नहीं दिख रहा, तो बोल रहा पंखा मत चलाओ. So what donation did he do? It is so ridiculous, right? So that is why we need to think through. अगर मैं कुछ करना चाहती हूँ, what is my consciousness? What is my thought? Right? A lot of times, okay, I might say, okay, I'm doing Ekadashi. My thought is I want to remember God. But I'm a normal material life wala person. 80% of my day might go in just, looking after everything else, being involved in everything else. But at least I started off with the right intention. God sees the intention. And dheere, 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 as my life becomes more spirituality focused and less material focused, it's going to go from austerity to seva bhav to bhakti. Did you get your answer, Sonal? And for you, Sonal, I think blanket answer. Consciousness, intent is most important. The activity is not important. The intent and the thought behind it is most important. Okay? People, see, why did all this become ki heta hai na asat asta, asa karaitsa asta. People go to a temple, ye dala haldi, ye dala kunku, ye dala fool, ye dala akshata, and they're just going round and they're out. And while they're doing all that, they're on the phone. किसी ने बोला ये करना है तो करते 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 निकलते हैं. No. Right? But where did that happen? Because people did not have intelligence. So some guru told them, some family head told them कि ये बस करना है, कि चलो एटलीस्ट अज्ञात सुकृति पड़ जाती है. जैसे हम बच्चों को बोलते हैं ना, सुबह उठे, आफ्टर योर बाथ आई वांट यू टू गो टू भगवान जी एंड डू जय. अब पता नहीं बच्चे का कॉन्शियसनेस किधर है, लेकिन मदर इज थिंकिंग ठीक है यार, अज्ञात सुकृति मिल रही है, जाने न जाने भगवान के वहां पे जाके मत्थे लग रहा है. राइट? सो देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दैट आर इन्वॉल्व्ड इन दिस. But most important, always remember, is the consciousness, the intent.
With that, Granthrat Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you all for joining.